Teran, capital of Iran, has a population of 8.7 million in the city and 15 million in the larger metropolitan area of Greater Tehran. The city is the most populous in Iran and Western Asia. Tehran is the third largest metropolitan area in the Middle East after Cairo and Istanbul. Overall, it is ranked 24th in the world by the population of its metropolitan area. Tehran has a temperate climate as it is located at 35.41 north latitude and 51.15 east longitude and 1,200 meters above sea level, which makes it a little cooler than other capitals in the Middle East. Tokal is a mountain and ski resort located on the Alborz mountain range, adjacent to the metropolitan area of Tehran in northern Iran. It includes a 12-kilometer long ridge. Tehran covers an area of 1,500 square kilometers in the north-central part of Iran on the slope of the Alborz mountain. Tehran became the capital of Iran in 1795 when Aga Mohammed Khan became king. In Persian, the word Iran means land of the Aryans. In December 2018, satellite images revealed that Tehran, the capital of Iran, is sinking into the earth at a rate of 10 inches per year. Geoscientists Magdi Moktag and Mahmoud Hagigi from the GFS German Research Center for Geosciences in Potsdam used satellite data to monitor subsidence across the Tehran region between 2003 and 2017. Famous biblical figures purported to be buried in Iran include Esther, Daniel, Cyrus the Great, Darius the Great, and Saint Thaddeus. The three wise men who followed the star to Israel to pay homage to the newborn king, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, are thought to have come from Persia, whose modern name is Iran. According to data from the mid-1990s, all Protestant churches in Iran claimed an ethnic and Iranian membership of up to 15,000. A 2015 study estimated that there were 100,000 Christian believers from a Muslim background living in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Iran is an Islamic state where close to 98% of the population are Muslims. The nation's constitution is largely based on Islamic law. The dominant religious group in Iran is Shia Muslims. Sunni Muslims are the second largest religious group. The Kurds and Turkmen are predominantly Sunni Muslims, but Iran's Arabs are both Sunni and Shiite. Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians are small communities. The starting point for debates in Iran is not secular law and civil rights, but the tradition of Muslim jurisprudence and practice called Sharia. The ideas of nationalism, secularism, religion, and revolution are unique in this Muslim country. The economy of Iran is mixed and transition economy with a large public sector. It is the world's 18th largest by purchasing power parity. Some 60% of Iran's economy is centrally planned. Iran is dominated by oil and gas production, although over 40 industries are directly involved in the Tehran Stock Exchange, one of the best in the world. Iran commands 10% of the world's oil reserves and, due to its development potential, made a member of a group called Next 11 Countries, likely to break out into a juggernaut. With its enormous natural resources and a young, educated population, Iran has the potential to become an economic power. The Iranian government directly owns and operates hundreds of state-owned enterprises and indirectly controls many companies affiliated to state-run structures. Iran's infrastructure is not high standard and relatively inadequate. Part of this stems from the fact that the vast country was never fully developed but it also experienced considerable setbacks during the Iran-Iraq War between 1980 and 88, and restoration since then has been slow. Iran's construction sector continues to be negatively impacted by US-led Western sanctions. Iran's exports mainly go to India, Turkey, China, South Korea, and Taiwan. There is a complex pipeline system that works to supply oil and natural gas to Armenia and Turkey, as well as other close countries, and stretches as far as Russia. To think that conflicts in the Middle East are outlandish due to geographical distance will send such an observer off tangent in international discourse. Coming to Iran, which shares common borders with Iraq to the west and Afghanistan to the east, Iranians talk profusely about regional conflicts. While the United Nations is the melting pot for all discussions, the Iranians have shown keen interest in bilaterals which have the potential of resolving conflicts that are multilateral in nature. Women's rights are severely restricted in Iran. There are legal restrictions as well as heavily inculcated societal and cultural norms imposed on women. One of the significant laws in application is that husbands are considered head of the family and wives are legally bound to obey them. The Islamic Revolution of 1979 brought seismic changes to Iran, not least for women. One area that has come under scrutiny is the way women dress and wear their hair. The old Shah in the 1930s banned the veil and ordered police to forcibly remove headscarves. Women, however, did not hold religious titles but held political power with their husbands or owned their own titles. The historical role of women in Islam is becoming more prevalent in modern society. The Iranian Revolution, also known as the Islamic Revolution or the 1979 Revolution, was a series of events that involved the overthrow of the last monarch of Iran, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, and replacement of his government with an Islamic republic under the Grand Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a leader of one of the factions in the revolt. Several factors contributed to strong opposition to the Shah amongst certain groups within Iran, the most significant of which were alleged US and UK support of his regime and clashes with leftists and Islamists. By 1979, political unrest had transformed into a revolution which on 17th January forced him into exile. It was the mobilization of the working class and the poor that brought the Shah's regime to its knees. The drop in oil revenues in 1975 had led to a serious economic crisis and fanned popular agitations. The Iraq-Iran war came on the heels of the Iranian Revolution. It began when Iraq invaded Iran on 22nd September 1980, after a long history of border disputes and demands for the overthrow of Iraq's Saddam Hussein regime. Iraqi forces made several inroads at the beginning of the war, taking Iranian Khuzestan, but before long, they were stopped and forced out of Iran. During the war, Iraq was recognized by the West and the Soviet Union as a counterbalance to post-revolutionary Iran. The Iran-Iraq war ended when both countries accepted UN Resolution 598, which was a ceasefire, on August 1988. Both countries were tired of fighting. Millions of people had died. There have been a number of sanctions against Iran imposed by a number of countries, especially the United States in November 1979, after a group of radical students seized the American embassy in Teran and took the people inside hostage. The sanctions included freezing of about $12 billion in Iranian assets, including bank deposits, gold, and other properties, as well as trade embargoes. Under Iran Foreign Oil Sanctions Act of 1995, the U.S. president was empowered to impose a 12-month economic sanctions against foreign persons who, with requisite knowledge, export goods or technology that will contribute to Iran's ability to extract, refine, produce, store, transport petroleum or natural gas products. The first round of U.S. nuclear sanctions on Iran hit Iran's ability to access dollars, engage in some financial activity, and attract investment into its auto and aviation industry.
I do not think that there's going to be an end to this debacle because of the nature of the conflict. The geopolitics in the Middle East, if we don't have the necessary contours for the geopolitics, I don't think it's going to end. In the Middle East, countries would want to be the hegemon. Saudi Arabia, Israel, one time Iraq, and then Iran. Turkey is now coming up. And in all these, the US at times supports this, against that, and whatnot. You know, the Shah of Iran was overthrown in 1979. And in that revolution, the US embassy was attacked. The US diplomats were seized, harassed, some killed. And the Americans have never forgotten this and have never forgiven Iran. Since then, too, the relationship between Iran and the Americans have soared to levels that are unprecedented. Why? Because Americans support Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is predominantly Sunni, and Iraq and Iran are predominantly Shiite. This kind of dichotomous situation in the Middle East plays into the hands of the relationship between the US and the countries in the Middle East. Iran is hated so much because it is perceived to be supporting terrorists. Yes, they are supporting one side, the Houthis in Yemen, and Americans are supporting Saudi Arabia to support the other side. And so this kind of matrix shows that they will never come together. On and on and on. When the Americans need you, they will use you. General Soleimani is one of the strongest generals. I mean, an intelligent person, foreign intelligence is super. Knowing very well that Iraq is under siege by ISIS, he decided to move to Iraq and form the PMF, the Popular Movement. Americans saw that this Popular Movement is so strong that they were beating off ISIS. So America supported the PMF. And so they were dining and wining with Soleimani. And soon after ISIS had been overthrown or dissipated, Americans turned their eyes on Soleimani because they feel he's a very dangerous person. And they killed him.
In 2019, Iran turned back to expanding its nuclear enrichment program after the United States' decision to pull out of an accord involving Iran, France, UK, Russia, the Greater European Union, China, and the United States. That has severely hurt Iran's economy.
All the nations that supported the deal cannot at one go be all wrong. Because so the deal, America has nuclear weapons, Israel has, France has, UK has, and you say Iran cannot have it. When other countries didn't have it, because the Non-Proliferation Treaty enjoined us not to allow countries which didn't have it to have it. And those who have, not to sell the technology to the others. But since then, America has told the technology to Israel, France has told the technology to South Africa, that kind of thing. So India and Pakistan, they said, excuse me, go away you. And they had it on their own. And they went out of the treaty. Kim Jong-un, North Korea, said, I won't join at all. If you have it, I can also have it. So it's like that regime is hiccuping on its own. What we could have done is to ensure that there is zero nuclear in the world. But if Iran wants to have it, because they also want to have a power, so you can't have it. And there is a modicum of understanding that, they won't have it, so we'll do this for them, we'll do this for them. I think we should have followed that kind of regime that we have set.